Oh, no, this is your last chance. No beating around the bush.
Perhaps I was talking when I should have been listening.
This is the Redefine Relentless podcast.
Welcome back to Redefine Relentless. This episode was actually created 6 months ago, which is crazy. It was made in December with me and my buddy Tyler, but what happened in the tough part was the audio was so hard to work around and with my skills, and if I had to pay someone, it'd be way too much money. But luckily there's AI now, so Adobe Podcast, it's in beta, so I use that and it sounds a lot better, a ton better. It was my first time in person in this room in the same mic, and it wasn't good at all. But luckily Adobe Podcast did an amazing job with its AI technology. Just a quick update. I've been working on Simpler Living like crazy. Don't think I've been just walking away. It's been a month and a half since my last episode dropped, Never Finished, which blew up, which was awesome. But anyways, getting really into this episode, though, I wanted to give you a very quick peek into what you're going to hear, because you guys are used to this structure where I'm super professional, super business, super getting to the point. But quite frankly, this episode's the opposite of that, which I actually appreciate, in becoming vulnerable and trying something different, and someone kind of bringing a better you that isn't as serious out. And I think some of this episode had that, but also not taking away from the episode, because there is a lot of good points that Tyler brings up and the things that he has to go after. He's like, I have to be more accountable. There's so much stuff he gets into, but there's going to be funny jokes here and there. So that's what I liked about this episode. One of my top things that I like, and you're going to have to listen, it is broken up into 2 parts. I couldn't get this guy to stop talking. I'm kidding. Tyler will laugh at that. So I split it into 2 parts, and if people are interested, I want to post the second one as well. It just became too long. It was literally an hour and 40 minutes, so I had to make it into like 50 minutes and then work on some edits and stuff. But other than that, it's split in half, so at the end it'll be kind of cut off a little bit, but there's going to be a bonus that I plan to publish in the future. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. We spent a lot of time, and it's super funny. I highly recommend listening to the whole thing, because you'll get a giggle or two and also learn something from Tyler. And to Tyler, I appreciate you being my friend, dude. We've been through a lot together. Dude, I'm just so proud of you for trying this out and being different and not meeting the quota. I know things have been tough. They haven't been easy the way things have gone in life, but I just also wanted to say that I love you to death, brother, and I'm just super excited to call you a friend. Welcome back to Redefine Relentless. It is episode 90, and I'm here with a buddy, Tyler Mondragon, that I've known for, since it had been junior year of high school. Yeah, for me, and senior year for you. So that's 7 years, something like that. Known each other for a long time. The title of this podcast, I don't know. We're going to come up with that later. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Tyler has gone on to be a co-founder of Tyler Collins, a freight brokerage firm. And we're going to be talking about a lot of that today. First and foremost, thanks, Tyler, for coming on the podcast. If you could do a quick introduction to the audience, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, my name's Tyler Mondragon. I'm 23. I'm Hunter's friend and a fellow entrepreneur. I own a freight brokerage with my business partner. I started it about 6 or 7 months ago, and now we're here. Kind of really just wanted to talk about it, share my experiences on how I started everything up, and the mentality of what it took to keep going and really plant. I'm continuing to plant those seeds of the labor will sprout.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as soon as possible. But
yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to Tyler before this about how excited I was to kind of have him on the podcast, because it's a lot of the beginning stages of starting a business that we don't see. It's like the Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk that get highlighted and spotlighted in the news, and it's hard to see some of these companies that are smaller, that are starting in the startup phase, and really hearing what people are going through. And of course, Mark Cuban, Elon, all have their own stories from getting up. But I think it's like, while you're in the moment, bringing someone on that's going through it currently. My first question to you, Tyler, is what inspired you to start this company with Colin?
Oh, so I used to work at a different business, another freight brokerage, really large one in the country. And it was, I found out that like our CEO was like the richest man in Ohio in like 2017 or something. I was like, a freight brokerage, and I was like, how much revenue did we do like this year? And it's like, oh, like 8 billion. And it's like, wow, like, a company with like 2,000 employees and $8 billion in revenue. It's like, holy shit. Like, and I think it's a funny story because he contacted Forbes because Forbes posted that, or, wrote it or whatever. And richest man in Ohio, and he was like, please take that down. He was like, this is the industry where I don't want to be known as the richest man in the world, just in terms of because of who we work with, our customers. Yeah. They're like, wait a second, $8 billion is revenue. Like, oh my, and so it was definitely that where I kind of was like, yeah, we're making a lot of money. I'm doing a lot. What I did specifically was just work with another broker on an account. Would manage trucks, do the daily tasks, same, just work a lot with the trucking side of the business. Yeah. Beating down rates is, what they call it, making as much money as possible pretty much every day as you go in, you try to make as much money as possible, seize every opportunity, read the market, understand what you're doing, and, make money. And I was like, man, like, I'm only making so much of this. And even the guy that I was working under, he was making a shit ton of money, but he's only making just a fraction of what the CEO is making. He came in a couple weeks after I was really thinking about it. He came in, shook my, we met everybody, shook my hand. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that was the richest hand I've ever shook in my life. I was like, this guy has billions of dollars and he shook my hand. I'm driving like a 1998 Honda Civic. Like he should go wash his hands after this. No, man, it was definitely inspiring. And my business partner, best friend, Colin, who I work with, who really, really pushed it on me and was just like, we should do this. It's a great opportunity. It's something that we can do ourselves and, reap all the rewards. And, it took a couple months. It wasn't like an easy transition. It was definitely terrifying. And especially when I was in a position where I was starting to make more and more money than I ever made in my life. Yeah. Which is not saying a lot, but it was, but I was like, dude, this is tough. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, what am I to tell my girlfriend? Like, I quit my job. Like, it was just a combination of being pushed by someone else. It wasn't 100% totally me. But at the same time, it takes two to tango, and you can't blame anyone else for mistakes. So it's like, when it comes to positive things, rewards, it's like, okay, this person helped me. It's easy, you know what I mean? So it's like you can place a lot of things on other people, on yourself, when it comes to the decision making, and if you're gonna regret anything. But one of those things was I was terrified. He was like, dude, come on, like, we're gonna do this. We got this. There's lots of money to be made. You know how to do it. I'm good at sales. And that's kind of like where the partnership came in. He was like, I can do the sales and you do the trucking. And I was like, all right. I was like, that's genius. I was like, yeah, I'm cool with that because I'm not too much of a sales guy. Like, I understand how to do it. I know what I'm looking for, but you get me on the phone and like I freeze up. I start stuttering. Like, a couple beers, maybe I'll be okay. It's just,
yeah. That's good though. You understand your pros and cons. So you can work on your strengths and not focus on your weaknesses, whereas ideally your co-founder or someone that starts a business with you can seal your weaknesses, and it makes a too happy medium of people in starting a company. And that's really what co-founding. I had Jake Henry, my buddy I was just telling you about before this, come on my podcast episode, and he had his buddy Nick join him as a co-founder in the same situation. Jake, super smart. He's studying pharmaceuticals or something in that industry. Don't quote me on that. Sorry, Jake. And he's building this. Have you seen James Harden wear his strap or whatever, like the black sticker on his arm or some people? Yeah. So he's basically doing that, but adding like a pod to it, and it's like electrical therapy, basically physical therapy, and it uses AI to massage your muscles in a specific way to help recovery go a lot quicker.
Okay.
So he builds that, but he's like, I have no idea how to build this. So the buddy he got, Nick, was like, he's like a software engineer, works at like one of the biggest hospitals in New York and doing like their off-grid systems and stuff or something tuned to that. So he knew what he was doing, but he had no idea, but he understood the business side and the opportunity. He didn't know how to he knew the idea and what he was doing, but he needed someone to come in and so it was, yeah, exactly.
He needed an engineer.
And so he's a co-founder of the business, and I think it was just a happy medium of getting between those two, which I think is really good. And it's like you and Colin have a good match off of a happy balance to weigh in each other.
Yin yang of the business.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So Colin he didn't try, obviously he did, get you into the business. Was it hard in the beginning? Was it like when he talked about it more and more, you were like, okay, I really need to do this and I understand it?
So the thought of it always looks in your life.
Yeah.
Opportunity is going to excite you. So I was definitely like, dude, like, we have a couple beers. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, like, yeah, dude, like we're going to be so rich. Like, and then, I get to work and then he's like, all right, you got to quit your job. And I'm like, I'm like, how do I say this? And where I worked, I was kind of scared because it was like a job where they were like, all right, like if you quit, it's a non-compete.
Yeah.
I doubt they would have really took it seriously, but I didn't really want to take any chances. But I thought they were like, all right, they probably, they replaced me in like,
Yeah.
big. What was the question again?
No, you're good. It was more or less you and Colin. How did he convince you, like in that phase? But you were building up to that.
Yeah. So I just and that's when the 50% of me kicked in and was like, just push. I've always been someone who's kind of just been willing to push myself over the edge to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I just put myself in horribly ridiculous situations because usually like you got to take a leap of faith and like in order to grow. So if I force myself to become extremely uncomfortable, it's gonna force me to dig, and with that like grow stronger and more confident in certain aspects. Like I like to bring it back to like the roots. Like when I first started driving, I had a really big fear of driving. I thought I was gonna crash and die. Like I thought like I was gonna fly off the road. I don't know. It was really weird. And but then I was like, dude, I'm hopping on the highway. Like I'm gonna hop on the highway and just drive and go 80 and like see. And like I was shaking. Like I was also in like a shit box, but just gotta hop on the highway and go 80, get used to it. And then nowadays like I'll fly 90 on the freeway. Like I listen, bumping music, one hand on the steering wheel, like texting. Don't text me. I don't text me. Seriously, but yes, it's that sense of like deep down, like I know that if I don't make myself uncomfortable, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I don't make myself like absolutely need something.
Yeah.
That I won't do it. So I just kind of I was like, all right, time to get up and push yourself over the edge, and I did it. And I was just I sent my letter of resignation. Like no longer gonna work for you guys.
Yeah.
No reason why. I don't need to give you a reason, really.
Yeah.
Like sorry. Like not really. Not sorry. You shouldn't be sorry for ever quitting a corporate job.
Yeah.
You should be thankful and I cut ties, burn bridges. But and I was I did it, and then it was going great the first couple months. Like we were doing, the market was in a decent place. We're getting customers, we're moving freight, we're doing loads, making some money.
Yeah.
And then I think just what I kind of knew was gonna happen was like I wasn't. This is the first time I wasn't with someone's like watch.
Yeah.
Someone wasn't really keeping me on what to do.
Yeah.
And like I had never been my own boss before, so I definitely was slacking off in certain areas, doing certain things I should have been doing, spending money. I shouldn't have been spending money. I should have been saving. I had money coming in still from the job before off of commissions.
Yeah.
And and I was just like, let's go hit the casino. And like, you hit the casino one too many times, and then like, oh my gosh. But it's also things like that where I don't have any money, so I need to work, and so I'm working my ass off. I'm like, I got to catch up, and so it's definitely like a roller coaster of just if you're scared of something, just throw yourself into it. Like hit rock bottom, go ahead, it's fine, because it's like obviously like
I get what you're saying though,
but in a sense, like sometimes you do need to like hit like a bottom or be in a very like stressful situation to really exercise yourself and like build those muscles and grow and become stronger. And then it's like, oh, like quitting my job, like I do that every like I'll quit my job right now, like and then it becomes something like that. I'll hop on the highway and go 80, like it's fine, like it's cool. I'm used to it.
That's really, I always say on the podcast, get comfortable with becoming uncomfortable, because whenever you become you plateau in whatever you do, you make the same amount of money and you stay at the same purpose, where if you have a growth mindset, you can just continuously keep on compounding your knowledge and grow more and more and more instead of staying in the same place your entire life when you enter the career, which I just think is like sad in the industry, in some industries where like people just don't want to grow. They just want to get their paycheck and go home. And that's completely fine. It depends on the person, but like they're not looking for any improvement where I'm like trying to meet that line and just keep on improving to get better and better. It's like throwing myself out there as well. Like starting a podcast 2 years ago, I was like the thoughts in my head that started accumulating, like all these thoughts that you get of just starting something. It's like these thoughts just, and then like you said, it's like, I literally 1 week was like, all right, I'm starting it. I like ordered all the equipment and stuff. So I'm like, well, I'm broke. I'm in college and I just spent $300 in equipment. I'm going to make this work.
I have to make.
Yeah. And literally. And the thing is I knew from the beginning I wasn't going to make any money, but it was, and I say this all so much, is like to expand my network and to gain a ton of business knowledge, because now I'm pushed to read books, to have CEOs, have guests on, just a bunch of different people on the podcast to expand my knowledge, but again, helping the audience with this journey of growing and learning as well. And it was like throwing myself out there. I wouldn't be where I'm at today. It's like you wouldn't be where you're at today if you didn't start your own business. And it like takes those times of like when you were like, I went to go gamble and like whatever you were, like the irrational spending or whatever, you had to do it in order to learn from it. And then you hit rock bottom and you're like, I won't do that again, because once you get very rich and then you hit rock bottom, you're like, well, this is completely different from going from like, a little to like nothing to a lot to, everything to nothing. And it's like, you learn that. And it's like, you have to learn that through your journey in order to, it's funny, like
To be healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, to exercise and to understand, you have to go through experiences. Like my dad tells me so much and, certain things, and then I'll turn my back and then do exactly what he says not to. And then I end up failing in doing, and what happens is exactly what he said. And then he's like, I told you so. And it's like, but I don't know. I just have to learn through experience in my way. And it's sometimes that I take advice, but it's sometimes hard for me. But it's, again, once you learn it, it hits you a lot harder when someone's telling.
Yeah, it's like what we were talking about before we started the podcast was like, what if somebody just gave me $1 million? It's like, oh, I would love to say like, I sound smart. Like, I would invest it. Like, I'd buy some options and put in some stocks and, put in some funds. And, but it's like, come on, I'd probably buy a car. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, but that, I know I shouldn't think like that. I'd buy like something really nice for someone that I loved or something like that. But I don't know because I haven't. Yeah. But it's like, I have been in similar situations where I've been given something or done something and I took advantage of it. So I was like, okay, I definitely don't have the best self-control, even little things. So you give me $1 million, like, I'd be like, dude, I got a boat. Like,
but I think that's what's so important in sharing this stuff, because like the realisticness of someone saying something versus when the reality happens and what they do.
Right.
We all hope that it's said money brings out the real person. The money really changes some people, but some people are able to stay attuned to who is it? Adam Sandler. Like, bro, I see so many videos like on TikTok and stuff. He'll just like show up to like a chicken place wearing like homeless clothes or something, and then it's like he just has stayed himself through it all. But it's hard because it's such a fraction of a percent to actually do it versus if you make money and then you have all this money and then you like, what would you do with it?
Right.
You hope you would invest it for your future self, but you're like, well, what if I did this? What if I went to buy a Ferrari?
Yeah, exactly. But you won't know until the time comes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's those little things that lead up to when the time comes that will determine what you actually do.
Yeah.
Who you are, what you've learned, how you behave and react and adapt.
Yeah.
If you're not there yet, you are going to buy that Ferrari.
No question about that. Through your business and starting it with Colin, obviously, what have been some challenges you guys have faced, like whether it be like COVID or something happening, gas prices? Because I know, obviously, I'm in the oil business, being in Jiffy Lube, I see the prices from distributors and seeing how they increase, like loads cost more, obviously, when gas prices or diesel's way up.
Yeah.
So like what are some challenges just in general that you faced and how have you overcome them, or how are you trying to currently overcome?
So when diesel started going up, I was currently working at a larger brokerage. Specifically in that scenario, the industry that I work in, when you're freight brokerage, it's all on market. It's all going to get moved regardless. And it's a lot of like empty complaints, like, oh, you've seen the gas prices, this and that. And it's like, all right, like market value is this much. Like, I understand the gas prices suck, but it's like, are you going to take the load or not? Like, are you going to do this or not? Are you going to accept the amount of money that I'm paying and mostly everyone else is paying? Or are you going to take the risk to try to make more for someone else and then end up losing out? And so it's definitely like, you got to just keep your cool and you got to adapt to everything, because it's like, even though the prices rise, like, it's still going to get done. It's the same way as you think about it. It's like, gas prices were fucking expensive, but I was still buying gas.
Yeah.
Like, I still had to get to work.
Yeah.
So people still have jobs to do. So it's, in a sense, it's like, just really focus, like, you know, what you hear and complaints and like, it kind of sucks. Like, don't let that determine the reality of things. Like,
Yeah.
let the money talk, let the foundation of the business and how successful things have been. And you know what I mean? 'Cause it's like, you know, it's been a freight brokering has been around forever. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
just because gas prices go out, it's a conversation that you need to have as well, with your customers and with the people that you're paying and people that are paying you. And, you know, hey, listen, you want to sound educational. You're there for, you know, when it comes to being at a brokerage and someone's having a client, you're doing stuff for them. Not only are you moving freight for them, but you're educating them on the market. You're letting them know what's going on. Like, hey, listen, diesel's getting super high. This might affect the market. You know, prices might be more expensive than usual. That way you get more money from your customer. That way you have more money to not necessarily more money to pay your carrier. Yeah, so you have more money to pay the trucker.
Yeah.
And then that way it doesn't fuck with your margins.
Yeah.
And then and so it's adapting and then keeping like a level head is definitely like, don't freak out. Like, one of those things. Okay, and then in terms to one of the challenges faced, like starting a company, like on an individual level outside of just industry,
Yeah.
the market, whatever you're working with, is definitely just holding yourself accountable. It's extremely hard. And I'm someone with, you know, with ADHD, and you know, I don't really like taking Adderall. It makes me kind of weird. And then I'm all home alone on Adderall, just like that makes me focus and stuff like that. But I'd rather not take it. But being able to just be like, listen, you got to work, you got to do things, and the motivation that you receive, that you have, is kind of, you got to build it inside. Like, you know, I think people kind of think that, you know, want it, I'm gonna want it, but it's like, make yourself want it then. Yeah. Like, talk, you know, kind of, you know, speak affirmations, you know. Listen, like, I want to make a lot of money. Like, come on, like, you want to think about things a lot. Make it visual, you know, put like post-it notes on your thing, like, work, like just work, like, do something. And so I think that was the biggest struggle, was when we started making money, like, oh, easy, like, hey, we can do this. Like, yeah, of course, it's kind of like, quote unquote, like easy, because it's a $2 trillion market. There's money there to be made. It's something that is necessary for everybody. Like, every company needs it.
Yeah.
And so all you're doing is just providing something for someone that something that they already need. I mean, you're giving them solutions that they were going to get from somewhere else, if not you.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, you know, started slacking off a little bit. Definitely me as well. You know, waking up a little bit later, you know, because I think the biggest thing that in my mind was, okay, schedule is important. Everything even outside of business. Like, you should have a schedule for health, for business, for family, for friends, to maintain balance. And once that gets thrown off, you know, it's like making your bed every morning. You ever seen that video with the like the general or whatever? He's talking about making your bed every morning. It's kind of like that. So I stopped making my bed every morning. And so it's like that kind of just throws you off, and you start doing these little things, throw you off, start getting lazy here and there. And then eventually it's like, it starts affecting everything. Whoa, like, I need to get back on it. I need to there's no one else. I don't need to clock in. So it's like, I don't have a boss telling me that I'm going to be fired if I'm late.
Yeah. Like,
I'm doing my job already. I know I'm doing my job, but it's like, you're not here to do bare minimum. You shouldn't be trying to do bare minimum. It's like, it's easy to get into that flow, though. It's easy to get into that easiness of it. But it's not going to be easy. If you want reward, it's not going to be easy. And it's like, yeah, there's opportunity. Someone could be like, hey, you know, we want to use you for a huge project. You're going to make $1 million, whatever. It's super easy. Like, that's opportunity, but opportunity doesn't always come by unless you make it.
Yeah.
And so it's just the combination of opportunity, luck, but the one thing that you do have control of is your work ethic.
Yeah.
So it's like keeping just a good work ethic, keeping a good schedule, understanding like what you're doing and using your time like valuably. Because there are times where like you're not going to be doing things. So it's like, what are you going to do in that meantime? Update, research the market, or for a little bit. Like she's just fuck around for a little bit. And while I'm at home right now, I'll just let me just go do something else. Or so I think that was like the biggest thing was being left alone.
No, but actually,
like with no supervisor, or no supervision.
Wow.
So
that's the first time I've actually someone said that, and it's so much truth. It's like you're your own boss now. You've like, especially if you've had a job and you've gone through corporate or you've gone through, retail or whatever you have, there's usually someone above you, and to hold you accountable. Hey, you need to do this. You're like, okay, I need to do that.
Or I'm in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so now though, you own your own business, and then you have to be accountable for what you have. And if you put in the bare minimum, you're going to fail. There's no question. In almost any industry, you put in the bare minimum, you're just not going to make it, because there's someone that's hungrier that's going to take that piece of the pie that you have. And if you don't treat your customers right, like, you won't have repetitive business, and then you'll always be looking for customers, and that's just a whole problem cycle that you get through. So there's like so much in business you have to understand, but it doesn't happen until you start it. So it's one thing to talk about it, and it's one thing to start it. And then it definitely, with accountability wise, is just like, that's just so true. It's like, even on the podcast, like, no one's telling me I have to do this. I have to come out with 90 episodes. There's not a gun to my head saying all this stuff. It's that, and that's why I ground myself and feel like passion is so important in what you do. And there's, it's different mindsets. Some like, I want to make a lot of money works for some people. It just hasn't worked for me in most case scenarios. I just always think about it. How will this help me grow and leave a bigger legacy than I have? Because time is the only thing that we have that cannot be replaced. Our time right here cannot be replaced, and money can always be recouped and replenished. But our time, once it comes, it goes. Yeah, we aren't getting the past 4 years behind us back. It's already gone. A fourth of our life at most is gone. Some like a third. But I think with that accountability though, that just speaks volumes. And I really thank you for being honest with that, because like, I think when people start a business, you think like, oh, I'm going to do this. But again, it's what we were talking about, what you think, like with the money. Yeah. It's like what you think versus the reality of what happens when you start it. You're like, well, I don't have a boss, and like, I'm waiting on this thing to happen. I can play, or I can do this. I can run to the store. I can go look at certain things, or go to the casino. And then it's like, you learn through your process and your journey in which you grow so much more. Hopefully, because if you just keep on doing repetitive things over and over again, you're going to fail. But that is so interesting. I'm curious. So talk me through day one, you quit your job, and what is kind of happening. I want to hear this process, because it's like the truth of the reality of when people start a business. Was it planned like you were already working like a month part-time or whatever, and then you just had a transition, or was it like I quit and started?
Okay, so it was like, we knew that we were absolutely going to do it like a couple months before I quit. It was honestly me being like, listen, I just want a couple more paychecks in before I do this. Yeah. I want to get, money. I want money to spend, to have that way. And so I was like, okay, if I can save up enough to have about like 6 months worth of spending, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of getting there. We were filling out paperwork, documents. Colin had like, lawyers and understanding paperwork side of the business and like a legality of things. And so we were doing all that, getting all the things that we needed necessary to operate this business.
Yeah.
And that took months. That took far longer. It's expectations and versus reality. And so we were.
Now, was that with just being in a freight business, or was that just in general?
That was being in the freight business. I'm sure, honestly though, but I'm pretty sure in general, that'll be everything.
Yeah.
Like, you think if you want to become like a mortgage broker
Yeah,
You're like, all I need is my mortgage license, and then you're like, I'm gonna go get that, and then I'm good. And then it's like, you need a couple more things than that.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely like that for freight brokering. We were like, all we need is an MC, motor carrier number, and then a brokerage license. I was like, then we're good to go.
Yeah.
That was not all we needed. That was not all we needed. There was a lot of big words on these pieces of paper I didn't understand. Like a lot of things I didn't know what I was doing. I messed up one thing. I checked the box and like submitting this paperwork to I think it's the FM CSA. It's just like the Federal Motor Carrier, whatever, something association. I selected something I didn't need to. It cost us $300. It was a $300 mistake on paperwork that I made, and it's like, sorry, like I didn't like. I guess I should have researched it more. But then it's researching is easier said than done. Like look it up online. It's like okay, so I'm like, I'll just start like a freight brokerage.
Oh my gosh.
But some advice too. Like I think the biggest thing that you could do is just like if you're working in an industry and you do want to start your own business, suck the corporation that you work for drive information.
Yeah.
Suck of all the resources. Look up on their little like interweb, or every business has their own little website that only employees can use. I have a bunch of documents, information.
Yeah.
Look at it, look it up, see how it's done.
Yeah.
Call your accounting department and be like, how does accounting work? Call your whatever department, call HR and be like, how does HR work? How does that because I don't know how it works. I didn't know what accounting was. I thought people just paid us and then like every 2 weeks I get money.
Yeah.
So it's like if you want information, like it's like in everything, it's like just ask questions, take notes.
Yeah.
Absorb as much.
Be a sponge. And just like if you want to know something, don't be like ponder about it, but don't be scared to ask as well. Like call up accounting and be like, hey Deborah, like, and she's like, what can I do for you? So like, it's like I just want to know like how does how long do people usually take to pay it? Is that legal? Like is that like by law, or is it just how we do things? Is it by this? What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? Because if you don't ask those questions, which is totally fine, you're gonna learn by experience eventually. And you learn on your own.
And you learn on your own dime, yeah. And it's gonna happen, and it's gonna, it's like, it's one of those things too, where it's like, it's like it's scary, but like you got to throw yourself to the wolves. You got to like, set up a contract with a carrier with like certain things, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I did that wrong, like. But now I know how it works. Now I did something wrong. Now it's like getting in trouble. With yourself, so no one's gonna fire you. Don't be too scared.
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna cost your business. But sorry, I ramble a lot.
No, that's what the whole point is.
Yeah. What were we getting at?
When you were starting like day one, and you were talking about it though, that was the whole point of like when you're starting a business and you're like all this stuff you didn't realize, which I think is really good for the audience to hear, because it's like realisticness. You like, no, it's like literally I had the mindset too. Now, given my podcast doesn't have an LLC wrapped around it because I'm just publishing things and I'm not monetizing or making money to the point where I have to report to the government. I made 37 cents. I'm not sure the government's going to be calling me and be like, we want our dime, quite literally. It's like I was lucky enough. That's why, that's not the reason why I didn't really try to get monetization, but it's always to be free and be a free resource to people, because it pushes me to grow and the audience to learn. But with going back to what you were saying though, was like the point of like your learnings and when you were starting it, and you're like, you have to go through this process in order to understand it. And it's like, you make this small mistake, you make this $300 mistake. Is it in the world? No. But it's like, could you have learned it? Sure. And what's interesting, you said with the account and like absorbing, being a sponge, and what I'm trying to do, especially given that I've like told my boss, like I really want to start my own company and stuff like that. And I'm through OR Fellowship, which is a 2-year program. And I've already, what's crazy is it's almost been 8 months already. So I'm almost at the halfway point, which just like blows my mind in 4 months, that I'll be like technically halfway through my fellowship, which has been detrimental to the connections I have today. But I was like, to the point that you were saying, like asking those questions is what I keep on doing. I don't get to talk to my boss a whole lot, given he's busy and he has an operation of 17 Jiffy Lubes. Like, I don't expect him to know. Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck on earth?
Yeah, exactly. But, and that goes with the accountability, and think what you're talking about. And in my example is that I'm at Cohatch right here, right now. And it's like, I don't have anyone looking over me. But I think it's good because I don't think I need someone to micromanage me. And then it sets my character and, what's the word? Not trust, but there's like temptation, when what you do when no one's looking. And it's like, temptation can be so hard, but it's like, when I'm not micromanaged, which is what I hoped, and I've always had aspirations to become an entrepreneur. I've done things, I've failed, I've sold Jordans, and like, I've like lost everything selling shoes and stuff because I got stuff stolen. It's like those things that we learn. But getting back to the point of like learning and fulfilling, I think is really good of what you were saying and getting at was like, if you're at a business and you plan to get in that business, to be asking as many questions to like not be able, and like my dad told me, in which I joined our fellowship because I wanted to start my business right after college. He's like, learn on someone else's dime. Yeah. And then like I look back and I'm like, holy shit. Like I literally, if I started, I feel like I would have failed because like there's so much I've learned within this 8 months of business and like the actual operations, not in entrepreneurship in school, but the real life of things like the wolves and getting thrown out. And you're like, oh my gosh, wait, hold on. I'm not. I was playing with paper. Now I got to play with wolves. So it's like a completely different reality. And it's like, I'm glad that I get to learn on someone else's dime, but it's funny you bring up the accounting. I was just texting our accounting department because we like contract them out. They're not a part of our business, but it's like we pay a firm to do our accounting. Yeah. And I was asking, I was like, hey, is there like any like secret sauce in accounting? Like, is there like a book or something that tells you like all these secrets of the industry? It's like, I know like a G-Wagon can be a write-off. That's why a lot of people that own businesses have them because it's past a point of 6,000 pounds to 14,000 pounds. And that's like a write-off of a vehicle. Yeah. It's considered like a heavy industrial vehicle or something. And that's why people get G-Wagons. Yeah. So it's like, I like those types of things. I was like, is there anything like a resource that it's like, boom, here are all these tax advantages. And then she was like, unfortunately, there's not such thing. It's like in through depths of accounting that you understand things like that. Right.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
There's no book written out.
Exactly.
And it's like you Google it and you're like, how to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never that simple.
Yeah, exactly. Like starting a freight business. It's like, well,
I did my 3 things. Like I followed the WikiHow.
It's not that simple, and you just have to jump. But I think like, again, taking a calculated risk in the which of like asking all those questions, again, not learning from your own dime, but someone else's, in which that you can have that much more successes and less headaches throughout your business. But I think, yeah, that's what we were getting at to give you back the mic was like through that process of really just starting. And I think you were getting at stuff.
Just, I think talking about just things that I learned.
Yeah, like when you were first starting your business, that's what we were really getting at was like when Colin and you quit your job day one and you were like, you're talking about all these mistakes that had really helped.
Yeah. So, we're talking about like, if I knew right away, like, you know, when I was going to quit and stuff like that. So, so all the paperwork and stuff, that was happening. You know, I was asking questions. I was trying to figure things out. I was looking at documents. I was looking at everything that we had that I was like.
At your job?
Yeah, at my job. Yeah, at my job at the time. And now I'm going to go off topic just for a second. Yeah, we were saying like, yeah, when, like talking to your boss, like when the CEO came in, he shook my hand and I was just like, my biggest regret is just like, I should have asked him something. I should have been like, dude, like, were you scared? Like, and they tell you the story, like it was him and his friend, and they rented out an office space, and they slept and ate and showered there, and they worked their tits off, and became like a successfully. So, you know, we know the story, but it's like I want like a real, like the real story. I want the like dude, like, were you scared? And it's like, yeah, dude, like I cried one night because like I didn't know like what I was gonna do. Like, it's like okay. I'm a billionaire.
Yeah, I think, but that is so true. Like, and Elon Musk had that point where he was about to file for bankruptcy. I think it was through Tesla. I have a podcast over, 2 podcasts over Elon Musk and talking about his journey because I read this like 500-page book that talks about the depths of Elon Musk where you won't find in any interview. This is the only author that Elon Musk agreed to like basically open his life to and be written about. So it's the only book you can read, and it's such a long, detailed, lengthy book that most people don't finish it, but they have an entire podcast over it. It was a similar thing. Like, they were literally showering at the YMCA, him and his business partner, might have been his brother, Elon Musk. I kind of forget. But it was like almost the same exact thing. And there was a point where he was about to file for bankruptcy because he wasn't about to meet payroll the next day. And it was like on a holiday. It was literally this time around the year. It was like December. And he was like, I'm not going to meet payroll for Tesla or something because he doesn't have enough money. And then like 10 minutes before payroll went out, they got more funding that entered the bank from an investor. And then it like paid through it. And he's like, we literally would have burned that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand. Like, we were 30 minutes away from failing, but luckily 20 minutes of a gap of like had time or something like that.
Right. Give an opportunity. And I want to get into that as well as like opportunity, thinking about your business, multiple things. Because if you're trying to be like an entrepreneur and trying to start business, do things like, I know like talking about how like being specific and like really grinding and studying, getting your 10,000 hours in specific subject. Like if that fails, there's other things that you can do. Obviously, like you're someone, if you're already doing that, you're already someone who's capable of just taking time to understand an industry and try to start a business. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like if that failed and he wasn't able to have that opportunity where he got the funding, it's like, do you think he would have done nothing?
Yeah.
It would have been over. He would just be some random guy that no one knows about.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you'll never know, but I feel like
To a point.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so it's like
built up to be that.
yeah. I guess it's like super, like just don't give up kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah. Anyways, I knew that I was gonna eventually need to quit my job. This was like 3 months out. My job. Getting everything together. Really like, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. I was super excited. And then he's figured out how he's gonna quit his job as well. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we did have a little retreat. We're like, listen, like let's just go to Michigan, let's go camp. And so I used my sick days. Yeah, I'm not gonna not use my sick days before I quit my job. Yeah, I was like, those are mine. So we both use our sick days. We go out, and his boss is like, dude, like, because he had a job at yeah. I don't know if we're like. Yeah, he had a job at Angie's List. He managed the team. He had like some follow-ups that he needed to do. He needed to be making calls and stuff. He kind of wasn't,
Yeah.
he didn't want to, end in bad terms, but he was really cool with his boss too.
Yeah.
I was cool with the guy that I was with, but he had said some things earlier, a couple weeks prior, where I was like, you're just a big part of the corporate, like, shindig. Like all you care about is yourself. So I was like, okay, I see how it is, and because it's weird. No matter where I work, if I'm cool with my employer, I'm like, oh, dude, like we're homies. Like,
Yeah.
I respect you. I respect. I would never like bail on you.
Yeah.
I try to be a good employee throughout. It's more of like an ego thing. Like if I'm working really hard for someone, I can impress someone. Even if I'm making pizzas or if I'm fucking moving $1,000 of like freight.
Yeah.
Making millions of dollars a year. Doing something else or making
whatever.
$13 an hour.
Yeah.
It's like I have the innate drive to just like perform well and do well and be the best. So it's like it's definitely a competition kind of thing. But yeah, no, and so we were like, let's go camp. Let's go to Michigan.
Yeah.
Let's go stop by some shops and grab some candy and really relax. And so we were out there. So. Dude, I'm stressing so much because I'm like, I'm gonna quit my job. Oh my god. And I'm like standing on top of the car, like seeing if I have like bars on my phone so I can send my resignation letter. I was just like, oh my god, I was like, I'm gonna quit. Like, what do I do? I'm like, my team is there and they're like, like they think I'm sick and stuff and like sick.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just like, oh yeah. And they're like, are you okay, dude? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I feel bad like doing this, but at the same time, I kind of don't. Like, yes, I'm easily replaceable. This is only a minor inconvenience in your guys' lives, without not having me there for just a moment. This is something that I'm doing for myself as well. And if you were me, I feel like you would do the same. So
Yeah.
You seem like opportunity takers. So sorry but not sorry. Like you guys will be okay. In a sense. And yeah. So, and then I was just like, all right, like I need to stop freaking out about this. Just pull the plug. And so I emailed my, I was under management of, and I was just like, hey, I was like, this is, because I was sick and he was like, oh, make sure you have a COVID thing and this and that. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, because I was like, coming back.
Yeah.
I was like, here's my COVID test results. And it's like, I quit. But no, I would never do it. I don't want to like be like rude to anybody like that.
Yeah.
Especially since, they gave me opportunity. Like, so I'm like, okay, I respect it. But I'm like, you're also a giant corporation that makes billions of dollars. So it's like, you're cool. Like, and, but yeah, so I emailed him and he was like, okay, cool. He's like, I'm just glad to see that, you're not dead. Like, cause I was kind of AWOL. I was like, I'm super sick and I didn't reply for a whole day one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
So it's like, and I was just like, yeah, I'm glad you're not dead. He was like, okay. He's like, you're no longer an employee here. And they sent me like a bunch of things. And I was just like, I did it. And then Colin had to talk with his boss and he was like, how can I quit in a way that I can get unemployment? And he was like, it's not going to happen. I was like, I'm trying to get fired, man. I'm trying to get as much money as, I'm trying to scam as much. No, actually,
And it's all,
yeah.
oh my God.
This is Tyler's lawyer. Nothing he says is all satire. Like, he would never steal from the government.
You just have to really know from Tyler's perspective, him and I's relationship. We've been friends for 7 years, so obviously this is. And I told him from the get-go, it's like, definitely we're not keeping 100% business. We'll throw jokes in.
Yeah.
And I love you can open up and be yourself because, like, it's just hilarious. Like, you just make me laugh so much. But that's so crazy that it was the scariest jump you've had, but I'm sure you're grateful now. Even though it's like you're still in the startup phase, but you quit. And then Colin as well had to quit his job at Angie's List. And it's like, that was probably the slap across the face of reality, basically being like, you now don't have income coming to you.
Security, yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're on your own and figure it out, and no one's going to help you, and no one cares because you're completely on your own and you're your own entity.
Yeah.
And it's a dog-eat-dog world. And in some business, especially in the freight business, I know. But through that process of day one, what was it like when you're done, you've quit, it's done? What was the next day like? Was it like, all right, let's go overload, let's go?
Yeah, it really was. It was like, okay, it wasn't like, but it was like, all right, let's get it rocking, let's get it started. We took a little vacation, we went camping real quick. We came back and we were like, it's time to get to business. We have everything we need. Let's get the ball rolling. So he started hitting the phones. We had another guy. Would it be okay? Can you take a pee break?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
We can pause for a second. All right, we're back now. Tyler feels a lot. So let's keep on going with that phase though. Like day one, what it was like. Walk me through.
Yeah, day one.
Sun was bright.
Sun was beautiful. I woke up. I don't have to drive to work. I'm like, hi. I work from home now. So I go to my office and I log in. We do everything over. It's funny. We actually do everything over Discord, or we'll meet in person and work together off laptops and computer, depending who's where. And but we meet on Discord, and we click on, and we got to it. We kind of game plan like, hey, good morning, everybody. We had one individual with us who was a like an employee of ours. He was kind of on the sales side of things. Ultimately, he wanted to do recruiting, but one of those lessons that you learn, it's like, you're not going to need recruiting for a while.
Yeah.
And then also as well, it's like it's hard to coach people. It's hard to face reality when it comes to when you're.
Yeah.
But he was actually someone who closed the first like 2 customers of ours. So things were good. I think within like the second week or was the first week, we actually got customers. But in this industry, it's a cold call thing. It's like you're calling people. You can make it a warm call if you know something about them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, like I was just in there the other day. I saw that you guys had a lot. I love your plants. Like I buy your guys' stuff all the time. I was just wondering, like, shipping department I could speak to. like, oh, great. Like, hey, my name's whatever. Like, found your company because I shop here a lot. Workings of logistics, this and that, get your foot in and stuff like that. But, so we're doing a lot of cold calling, calling a bunch of companies, going through just Google Maps, databases where you find companies, registries, and just call everybody like, hey, can I speak to your shipping department? Yeah, it's cold calling. So it's like, yeah, sure. Hey, Tim. Yeah. Hey, it's Tim. Like, oh, we got it all handled, brother. And it's like, when you work in this industry, you come across what is called like a gatekeeper, which is the lady who answers the phone. Yeah. The secretary or whatever. Yeah. And they know what's up. They probably get calls like that all the time. So you'll hear like, hey, like, this is whatever from where? Where are you from? Oh, who are you with? Okay. Like, no, we're good. Like, bye. Like, hang up on you. And then, the beauty of, being a small company and, not having to worry about corporate things, you call back and be like, all right, fuck you. Like, but no, so then we had, our guys were grinding, doing sales and, closing customers. And it was a good feeling. It was definitely a high. It was definitely like, we're doing it. It's getting done. Not only that, like we're proving it that we're doing it. Like we have customers, money's coming in. So yeah, it was definitely like, it's like so long of talking about it and wanting to do it, actually putting money in and learning about it and getting all the paperwork, hard shit of work, and things like that. And it's like I'm ready to go. Now it's like, oh, man, it's like I wasn't expecting that. Now it's like to the stuff we do know. It's like what we do know is logistics. Like what we do know is how to move freight. So it's like, let's get to it.
And that's where the cookie crumbles for part 1. Be looking forward to part 2. And guys, I have a ton of stuff planned for the future. Like Profit First, a book that I read. I'll teach you how to literally retire with $1.5 million in your bank account. It's no get rich quick. It's a long-term of compounding effect into a Roth IRA. I'll talk about it in the future episode. Almost knocked the mic over and knocked myself out. That's minus the point, though. Don't forget to share with friends and family. Please, please, please leave a review because that helps me out a ton on the podcast channel, and share with friends and family this episode if you enjoyed it. And also do not forget, you are blessed. You woke up this morning. Not everyone did. And you have so much to look forward to. I know you're going to go out there and kill it. That's what this podcast is all about. You growth mindset, you're getting after it. You're trying to learn more. And you know what? You're going to go somewhere just because of that. With that being said, cue the outro.
This has been the Redefine Relentless podcast. Catch you guys later.
And that's the last you saw of them. You got it?